Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin. Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored, where tech leaders drop the filters and tell it like it is. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, serial entrepreneur with 30 companies under my belt. I failed at 20 of those, but scaled 10 to success. And I turned that roller coaster of a ride into my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. It's my story, where I talk about how I've learned from failure and how I share how custom software became the difference maker in every win. Now I'm the CEO of Sonatify Technology. We're a nearshore software development company that helps build high-impact software. Today, we are joined by Ani Mishra, who's an engineering leader at a little company called DoorDash. We're going to have some fun. Ani, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me on the show. Really excited for our conversation today.
Awesome. Well, give our listeners a couple minute background of your tech journey and how you landed at a really cool gig of being an engineering leader at DoorDash.
Yeah, of course, 100%. So, Steve, my name is Ani, and I have been in tech for quite a while. I think almost 14, 15 years now. And I started my career at a healthcare tech company in 2011, and it is a very popular healthcare company called Epic Systems. It is a large company and works on very critical healthcare problems. And that was my first exposure to building tech at scale. But very soon after that, I realized that my calling is actually working for startups and building things really early. So I joined as a...
You're sick in the head. You love the hustle of the startup.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was missing it. Yeah, I was missing chaos really early in my career. So I joined a small company called DoorDash. It was in Cincinnati. I was the first engineer hire for that company and really built some interesting location marketing technology. There, the company was acquired by another company called Mobify, which is a Canadian company, which is yet another startup, but a bigger startup. That's how I moved to Chicago and worked in Chicago area for Mobify. Soon after that, we ran out of money. My company ran out of money. So I joined another startup called Phoenix, which is a startup in Chicago, which is working on real-time video streaming. So I worked on video streaming, learned how to scale, early tech to large audiences. That was kind of my first exposure to building really large-scale systems and figuring out how to scale systems, learning real problems that happen when you try to scale. But soon I realized that I need to be in the Silicon Valley. I want to work on even more interesting projects. I was seeking a new opportunity, and that is when I interviewed at DoorDash. That was in 2018. And at that point, DoorDash was still in its earlier rounds of funding. And one of the co-founders at DoorDash, Stanley, was building a new team that was exploring robotics for doing deliveries. How can robots play an important role in doing deliveries? So that really got me excited about the opportunity. And that's when I joined DoorDash. And at DoorDash, I've had...
Did you know anybody there? Did you just apply through LinkedIn?
I did not. It was very surprising. So it was just a cold application on LinkedIn or through the careers website. Yeah, I don't remember, but it was definitely, I did not know anybody in the company, and I actually had many offers. I was actually all set to move to New York, which was, always my dream to live in New York. But I told DoorDash that, hey, I have to make a decision within 3 days because I have these pending offers. So DoorDash flew me to San Francisco and gave me a decision within a day. Like I interviewed in the morning and I flew back to Chicago. As soon as I got off the plane, I got a call from DoorDash, hey, Ani, we want to hire you. So I think, and that was such an exciting role to work on robotics and to be like one of the first people in the industry to use it for doing real life deliveries. So it was a no-brainer for me. I accepted the role, and then within DoorDash, I worked on exploring this a bit more and how we can use robots and drones and food maker robots to solve real life problems for deliveries as well as for merchants.
What year did DoorDash go public?
2020. It was December, the year COVID happened. Yeah.
Okay. So you got in around 2018 when it was still in probably a Series C, Series D stage.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I joined, DoorDash was actually the number 3 in food delivery in the US behind Grubhub and Uber.
Okay.
And within the next 18 months, DoorDash would become the number 1 food delivery company in the US with the largest market share. And then COVID happened, and that actually raised the entire market. Everybody was like exploding in growth during that year. So it was really like those couple of years before DoorDash went public were such a amazing
So
learning years.
give our listeners a feel. So you're an engineering leader, pre-IPO company that's got great momentum, and then it goes public. How did things change within the engineering area of the chaos of the public offering?
So when we were early, smaller company, everything was centralized. We were doing like the entire DoorDash system was deployed every day, and we had like hundreds of PRs going live every day, and it was it
So more
worked.
entrepreneurial.
Yes, yes, yeah. It was very scrappy. It was similar to working at previous companies, like even smaller, like seed A and seed companies that I'd worked. So it was very chaotic as well. But soon we realized that as we are growing and becoming a leader, people depend on us very early. So then we started to invest in building like scalable systems, scalable internal processes, as well as started to focus a lot on reliability of DoorDash.
Okay.
So as a result of that, obviously companies and including DoorDash, we became like a microservices based architecture. We adopted that architecture. Every team became empowered to deploy their own system at their own pace. And there was a lot of process also created to like, make sure that it's not chaos again. And obviously things slow down a bit, but for the benefit of, having a service, having a platform that is reliable, that works 24/7, where people can actually always depend upon.
Gotcha. So you've been able to live through a lot in your time at DoorDash. Now, is there a secret code you can give all our listeners so we all get free food all the time?
I mean, I wish I could.
Your name.
Yeah.
Tell us about, I know we don't want company secrets, but tell us about some current projects you're working on.
Yeah, of course. So currently I'm at DoorDash. I am in an organization called New Verticals. And this organization is focused on non-restaurant categories. So convenience, grocery, alcohol, home improvement, apparel, you name it. All of these are available on DoorDash now. So my team works on the logistics system that makes sure that every order that you place on DoorDash is delivered on time, as fast as possible, and we get you all the items that were ordered by you. And currently, we're building a platform that knows everything that is going on in the real world. It knows about inventory levels at every store. It knows where our dashers are. It knows about what time the stores close, what time the stores open. It knows about weather. It knows about a lot of variables in the real world.
Okay.
And it creates a plan on like what is the best way to fulfill the order for the customer. And it adapts to real-time conditions. And we make this information available to a lot of product services within DoorDash. So my team has made a lot of improvements in the system. We are the one who invented the system at DoorDash. We are making DoorDash more and more reliable, not just in terms of uptime, but also in terms of are we going to get all the items that you ordered. So a lot of exciting progress in this area. And I'm really excited to share that we're already seeing so much improvement in like how many items we deliver to the customer reliably, and it's only going up.
So within your area of DoorDash, how many engineers are on your team?
So my team has about 30 engineers.
All right.
And 2 of my teams have managers, and managers report to me, while I manage 2 teams directly, which are smaller teams.
Gotcha. So what's the engineering model like at DoorDash? Are you guys remote? Are you hybrid? Tell us a little about how things are managed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So at DoorDash, teams are structured around deep technical problems. So usually a team will have expertise in a really deep problem, and there will be a manager for that team, and usually a staff engineer who's a TL for that team. Most of the teams are co-located. So New Verticals as an org has 3 headquarters: Seattle, San Francisco, and New York. And that is where all the engineers that are in New Verticals are located. DoorDash has other engineering offices too, but for our org, most people are in these 3 offices. And most of my team.
Our engineering teams going in the office 5 days a week?
No. So we actually do not have any return to office, any mandate like that. We try to go every Wednesday. That is where most of my team is present. And most of my team is in Seattle. We have some folks in San Francisco and New York and a couple of remote folks as well. But pretty much 80% of my team is in Seattle. And we try to go every Wednesday. meet each other and just have fun. But there is no mandate to come back or work from
Okay.
office.
So
Yeah.
no strict hybrid requirements.
Yeah.
That's being done. Gotcha. Cool. So you've been building engineering teams now for a long time. Technology has changed. I think the last 2 years with generative AI and the advancements have changed things dramatically. How have you how has your approach to managing teams over the past decade changed?
So I think so a lot has happened. I mean, I think a lot has happened, especially in the last 5 years in industry. The COVID happened pre-post. We all adopted to a new normal where working remotely is okay. So the new people that are joining the workforce and industry have those expectations as well. And we have learned that this new working model of like working remote works really well for everybody.
Well, and look, I am all for remote, but big tech is trying to take that
Yeah,
away.
yeah, I know that there is a school of thought, and a lot of companies are adopting that where they're bringing people back. But I think at DoorDash and also in my own experience, I've seen it works for people really well, gives them flexibility. So I think that has kind of become like expectation for people. And a lot of people that I talk to, who you're trying to hire, they care a lot about this flexibility. And it has kind of become a perk at this point to be able to, to be able to have, to be able to work from anywhere you like.
So, what's your approach to screening engineers, and especially in the remote environment, making sure they're not typing really low on ChatGPT everything you ask them?
Yeah, so that is a great question because with the AI revolution, there are so many tools available now that people are using in interviews, and there are reports of cheating and whatnot. And what has changed in the interview process is, including at DoorDash, is we don't ask like lead code style coding questions anymore. So we ask questions which are more like even the technical round. We don't do any of the lead code style questions. So we ask questions which are more realistic, kind of problems that you'll solve as an engineer here. And those are really hard to cheat. Those are really hard to find a solution online and come up with a solution during the interview. Also, like all of these interviews happen with the camera on, and the interviewer is also like making sure that we don't really repeat the problems and we add some variables to the problems that we ask. So a lot of that. I do a lot of like cultural interviews, and those interviews are incredibly hard for AI to actually try to solve. So it's about human problems and how people work day to day. So that interview helps me really filter very easily whether somebody's cheating, or in general, like just whether somebody's a great fit for my team. And
What checks are you doing around making sure they're highly skilled in the tech stacks you guys work at?
so we don't really test people for how good you are at a certain language, or how good you are at using a particular database. We test for computer science fundamentals. So we will give you a problem written in a common programming language, and you'll have to figure out where is the problem in the code, something like that. Or we will ask you to design a system, and it will be more focused on principles, like when do you use a SQL database, when do you use a NoSQL database, or what kind of messaging do you use, and how do you distribute your services and databases. So there are very computer science fundamentals focused.
Okay.
So that helps us filter very easily. And on the team match side or the culture side, I'm looking more for skills like ownership and like bias for action, basically the company values that we have, and how entrepreneurial are you, because my team works on a lot of like 0 to 1 products. So a lot of these are the things that we test for in the interview process.
Gotcha. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing today?
So I think biggest challenge, actually, I mean, you called it out earlier also, the AI revolution. I think it has become, there's a lot of uncertainty on what it will look like in future, how software engineers will work in
I think
future.
we're uncertain of what it'll look like next week.
Absolutely. It is evolving so fast. Every week there is something happening in AI, and it is incredibly hard for everybody in tech industry right now to prepare for the future. And there's a lot of anxiety about this subject in general. And as an engineering leader, for me, I have to watch out for the future. I have to watch out like how I build a team or how I build systems and technology that scales really well. And it has become really challenging. Also very exciting at the same time, because we are in this age where we are seeing a tech boom, a revolution happening, but it has definitely made it very challenging for me to figure out how should we invest? What kind of team should we build? What kind of skills should we invest in? What kind of technical choices we should make? Kind of made it really hard to like figure out strategic long-term investments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So as you've made your career as a hands-on engineer, you rose up the ranks through the management chain. What's one brutal lesson you wish you would have learned earlier about being an engineering leader?
Yeah, 100%. So I think transitioning from like individual contributor to a manager was really challenging for me. And I think before I became a manager, I was a staff engineer, and it's a leadership position, but it's an IT leadership role. And I was solving a lot of deeply technical problems with a group of people. And I started to realize that it is really important for me to like really good with working with people to excel at my role. And I was passionate about mentoring a lot of people, and I wanted to like really, be responsible for helping people grow in their career and help people find their path. So that is why I became a manager. But I realized that my feedback wasn't landing. Like it wasn't helping people grow in their career or helping people, achieve whatever they want to achieve in their career. I realized reason for that was I'm being too nice sometimes, not giving people authentic feedback. And I learned really early that I should prioritize being kind. Even if it's a difficult feedback, I should deliver it to people with kindness instead of trying to be nice and trying to give them like paint a happy picture, or deliver constructive feedback, not being constructive or like deliver it in a way that is not received well. That's why the focus on kindness as well. So, and for the first 6 months to a year when I was managing a team, a lot of people depending on me, I was not able to like really use feedback as a tool to be able to like my team achieve their goals or to keep them motivated. So that was a skill that I kind of learned on the job. And I did not appreciate the value of delivering high quality feedback with kindness early on in my career that I had to learn.
I was going to say, because when we asked you to be on the show, you emailed response, F you, F that. No, I'm just kidding. I was trying to make a funny joke about you not being kind. But, that's a big part of growing, especially on the tech side, is being able to give that tough feedback. And there's a way to do it nice, but, a lot of times you can't sugarcoat it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it is really critical to give feedback to people that will help them grow. And it's often tough feedback that really helps people grow. So, especially for high performers, ambitious engineers, I think it's a key ingredient for them to be successful.
So you've worked with a lot of startups, you've worked with healthcare companies, you're working with a cutting edge delivery service. What's your secret sauce for turning this business pain into scalable software?
Yeah. So I think for me, and I mentioned this a bit, I hinted about this a bit earlier in the call, is also like I like where I see chaos. So I find opportunities where there's a lot of chaos because a lot of pain, because that generally means that there is some smoke here and there's opportunity here. So whenever I hear about a pain point for the business or for the customers, it's like, it's an opportunity in disguise. So I'm really generally very excited about it. And my style generally is to like get to the lowest level of detail, like understand why this is a pain point, figure out how to solve it for one customer. Like do not worry about scaling at all. Do not worry about like large scale systems and any of that. Figure out how to solve this problem for one customer. And once you do that, which is very hard to even do that, but to do that, you will have to learn about what are the pain points for the customers and for the business, and how do you actually go and solve the problem for the customers and business first, and then think about how you scale from here, from like 1 to 10, 10 to 100 to like thousands to millions. Obviously, as your product become popular and people start to rely on this, the reliability becomes really important as well. So I think for a leader to recognize, hey, now is the time that, and it's usually very early as well. So to also focus on reliability of the systems, and that is when we start to apply like computer science principles and building large scale systems, and build something that actually works at scale, not just for 1 or 10 customers.
All right. What's one common myth about engineering leaders that needs to die?
I think so. The myth that I had, when I was really early in my career and I looked up to the leaders, it was I thought leaders know everything. They know about all the details about how things work, and they are making decisions which are always right. They know everything. They make right decisions. Almost thinking about leader as a person who never fails. And I think that kind of also like was a deterrent for me to realize that, hey, I can be an engineering leader one day, because I thought this role requires perfection. But as I myself lean into the role, I learned that a lot of success comes from making imperfect decisions and making them right. And so it is a myth that the leaders know everything. They always make the right decision. They're as clueless as anybody else, and they use their judgment to make the best decision possible. And they collect the information that is available to them and make the best decision possible. Obviously, your judgment improves as you make more of these decisions and you become better at it. But nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
What's an uncomfortable truth that most engineering leaders don't want to admit?
And for me, I think that I have started to forget how to code, because there's so many other things that I'm doing day to day, and coding is all about practicing it every day. And I'm very proud of my days when I was a coder, and I think I was very good at it. So it is something that is like something I really miss. And yeah, it's definitely something that I wish I can get back and be good at again.
Do you code on nights and weekends to keep your skills sharp?
Yeah, I try to, but I realize like it requires a lot of practice. It's like if you're playing at a major league sports, you gotta go and practice 8 to 10 hours every day. And unless you do that, you don't feel as good of a programmer or a developer. So I try to keep up, but I feel it's never sufficient. Also, like the entire industry of how we code is changing. So it just changed so rapidly, and it's very hard to keep up once you start doing it day to day.
Well, Ani, thank you for getting uncensored with us today. You've done a great job of evolving your career from a hands-on engineer to an engineering leader. You've had your hands in all types of innovation out there. Before we wrap, drop one final truth bomb for advice you have for tech leaders today.
Yeah. So, Steve, it was great chatting with you. Thank you for having me on the podcast. So I guess if I was to like give one truth bomb or like one advice to people, is basically take more risks in your career. Like go work on the tech that you really like, feel excited about, go all in, find risky opportunities, pursue them. And even if you don't succeed, even if it doesn't become a large company, or even if you don't become like, the CEO of the company, you'll still learn a lot. So my advice to everybody is to, go take more risks in life. They generally like, teach you good lessons.
Well, I would have to agree that you have to fail hard to win big. So,
absolutely.
Ani, thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm Steve Taplin. If you liked the show, hit subscribe. If you didn't, well, go tell your competitors about it. They could probably use the help. Remember to fail hard to win big and build what matters. See you next time. That's a wrap. Another great episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing this show. I love talking with great tech leaders. As a side note, if you're interested, check out my new book, Fail Hard, Win Big. This is the story of how I built 30 companies, failed on 20, and turned 10 into multi-million-dollar wins. The common thread with all of them was custom software. Also, if you need software development help out there, my company, Sonatify Technology, we deliver world-class software development engineers out of Latin America. We have a solid track record of helping companies launch better products and faster. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it and appreciate you.